Today we are going to be inserting 2 packages of bees into my beehives for the season. In front of you, you see a top bar beehive, and later you'll see the typical Langstroth beehive. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, I'm getting all suited up here because I've been stung in the past and I don't want to get stung again. Although last year when I put this suit on, I got a couple bees right in my face mask and got stung in the face. I've already put a package of bees that I had bought from a seller in Georgia, and there it is. It's been sitting in the hive just for a couple days because it was really windy and rainy the other day. They're all bunched up all around that can in there, and that can is a can of sugar water, and that will probably give them enough food for the next few days or so. What I'm doing right now is taking off the little wooden cover that covers over the part of the can. You lift that can out of the package, and once you do that, it'll expose the bees to the outside. So if they're pretty active bees, you should be pretty careful at this point. For some reason, these bees were very docile and they weren't even flying out of the hole that was left there. I don't have a glove on, but I didn't really need one at this. I probably didn't even need my suit for this whole event today, but I figured better be safe than sorry. So inside that package of bees, there's about 10,000 bees all bunched up there, and there's one queen bee that's inside the queen cage. That's what you see right there. It's called the queen cage, and there's a little cork right there that I'm prying off, and that is the pathway that the queen will be able to escape that cage. I don't know if you could see it from that picture, but there was a little white piece of candy inside that hole that the bees will actually eat and work their way out. See that white towards the bottom? I'm trying to get a good shot of the queen in this picture. Inside that cage is the queen, and I think the queen has a little bit longer abdomen and a little bit difficult to see from that picture, but let's see, there it is, kind of crawling towards the left side and now going to the right. Alright, so inside that cage is the queen, and then a couple of what they call nurse bees, which help keep the queen fed apparently, or take care of her. So pretty interesting dynamic. The nurse bees and all the other bees will eat that little candy away now that it's exposed, and then let her escape to start laying eggs inside the hive. Alright, so all you do is dump the bees in. You shake them out of that box, and you know, every time I've done this in the past, those bees start flying and swarming all around your body and your head, and this patch is just falling right into the hive and just crawling around in there. Don't be afraid to give it a good whack or two just to get them out of that box. And there's some dead ones in there too that have been in there through the travel between Georgia and here, but get as much out as you can, and then I'll just put that box just on the ground next to the hive, so any other live bees that are in there will eventually catch the scent of the queen and find their way into the hive. There you go, an inside the hive look. I have an old honeycomb right there in the back that was part of the hive last year. Hopefully that won't be too bad for them to adapt to in there. But that's what you saw, that honeycomb. That's what they're going to be building across all of those bars that you see me laying down. Those are the top bars of the top bar beehive. And that's one that I built with my daughter Jamie, and we painted it, and looks pretty cool, doesn't it? The bees' only way in and out is that little front plank there. Okay, so here's the other type of hive, the typical box hive, and I have the same thing, package of bees, all huddled up on one side, surrounding the queen, and we're going to do the exact same thing to this hive. We take the queen cage out and put it inside. I think I get a better view once I take that can out and get the queen cage out. I think we have a little bit better view of the queen inside the cage. It's a little bit bigger queen on this one, a little bit easier to identify, so you should be able to see that in a minute or so. Just to be on the safe side, put my gloves back on. And I have a little bee brush that I use just to get the bees off without doing too much harm to them. I'll try to get a freeze frame on this in a second, but all the way to the left, inside there, that one bee with the kind of the dark spot on the head, that's the queen. A little bit larger abdomen and a little bit larger bee in general. Alright, so let's dump all these bees into their new home. And you'll see that they just kind of flop right in, and I'll bang that box a few times just to get them in there. This hive has a couple different things going for it. It's already got, you see on the right there, that's one of the combs that's made out of plastic, but it's kind of a starter comb for them to build their honeycomb on. Kind of gives them a little template to build on, so they don't have to do everything from scratch. And inside this hive, there's 10 of those racks that go across the bottom, and that's called, the bottom box is called the brooding chamber. You see there's some started from last year, but I'm going to fill the rest of that with some of those racks. And that bottom box is the brooding chamber, where the queen will stay and lay eggs and make new bees. And directly above that, you see that box that's on the ground to the left. That's the next layer up, and that's called the honey super. So that's where the other bees, the worker bees, will go and make the honey. And what I try to do is I try to prevent the queen from crawling from that brooding chamber on the bottom. Try to prevent her from going into the top. So this next rack, that is a queen excluder. It's like got a wire mesh on there that's thin enough so that the worker bees can all crawl up from that chamber into the honey chamber, but the little slots in that queen excluder are too thin for the queen to go up into that area. So that second layer up, which is the honey super, should just be available to the worker bees to make honey and not lay any eggs. And that's the way this one's designed, which is pretty interesting. Okay, so there you have it. That's how you insert 2 packages of bees into 2 different types of hives. It is April, I think, 18th today, so we have the start of the season, and the next couple days I'll take that queen cage out.